Hello, Abraham. Just a bit of background. I've had...
Where have you been? Oh, wait, that's not...
I've been on a journey through the medical profession as a patient.
We are certain they are grateful.
Yes, I'm very grateful for my one ear that is challenged, and I'm very grateful for my neuromuscular disease, and I'm very grateful for my paralyzed vocal cords and the fact that I can speak regardless of that. And I'm very grateful that I have a hard time breathing. And I'm grateful that I'm here on this earth and at this workshop. And my question to you is, I would be very happy playing sports again, and I would be very happy and grateful if I could get rid of my trach, and I would be very happy if I could find some vibrational energy that allowed me to not have this muscle disease anymore, and I would be very happy if I was 100% over my anorexic eating disorder, where once I was 69 pounds. And I'll be very happy if I was in total alignment so that I had total health and could do anything I wanted again, and run up and down the court and play tennis again, and not have to have ear surgery, and not have to choose between my trach or my voice. So my question is to you, how can I do that?
Well, we've been asked this question before. Just like that. The person said, I have jumped out of an airplane, I'm at 40,000 feet, and I have no parachute. What do I do? And we said, hang on, it will be over soon. Of course, that was a little different than this. You are far from that, aren't you?
Yes, a few thousand feet.
But we like to put it into that frame of reference because it's sort of the way you feel. It feels to you like you don't know what to do, and since you don't know what to do, it's hard to turn something that has so much momentum around, and yet it isn't hard to change the momentum of something if you can change the thought of something, and yet it's hard to change the thought of something when you have so much more to observe. That's why we like to say that from wherever you are to wherever you want to be, it's an emotional journey. Now, you had a lot of very funny words. We enjoyed everything that you said because it was your way of pointing out the journey is a complicated journey. It feels like it's a journey that most people don't accomplish with ease. It's a challenging journey. And we agree it appears to be that way when you're thinking in terms of the action part of it. But it really is a simpler journey if you try to make it the emotional journey that we've been describing here. Now, the reason that we want to say this to you, and even though it must be irritating to someone who has some very specific physical things they want to achieve, to hear some dead person who doesn't even have a rent to pay to harp on and on about it being an emotional journey, like emotion is all Abraham's really got, you know. In other words, we are all about thought and feeling, and we are not much about action at all because there is not anything action for us to manipulate from our non-physical, non-place, non-thing point of view. But we want to get your attention about that because if you realize that every illness, no matter what it is, no matter what label it is, it's always about resistance. And resistance is always about contradicted thought. It's always about wanting one thing but thinking another. It's always about summoning energy and then offering thought that contradicts the energy that you're summoning. So once an illness manifests, and even before it is diagnosed, once there is physical symptom of it, now not only is it harder because now you've got this now circumstance that you're wanting to not pay attention to, even though it's drumming very loudly in your experience, but you still haven't dealt with whatever resistance caused that to begin with. And so recovering from illness is not only about ignoring the manifestation of the vibrational variance, but it's about still getting to the bottom of the vibrational variance. The difference in the emotional journey and the physical journey is that you really don't have to get to the bottom of anything. You just have to monkey around with thoughts until you find one that feels good, and that's the way you deal with the variance in vibration. So we know that it would be easier for you to feel happy if you could get back on the tennis court, or if you could continue to run again. In other words, all of those things that you said you want, we know that if someone could snap their fingers and make it so, that you would have a momentary surge of appreciation and joy. But even if all of that were to happen, it would not necessarily change the vibrational patterns that brought it about to begin with. And so that's why we want to sort of shower you with our awareness that you are blessed and you deserve for it to go that way, and we are in complete agreement with you that all of these things that you're asking for should be yours, but we can't give them to you, nor can anybody else give them to you, because it is and always has been an inside job. So then you say, all right, well, I'm up for this. My experience has catapulted my desire into a whole new level of desire. I want with clarity that I have never wanted before. And now I am willing to do whatever it takes to take my emotional journey. And what we want you to hear from us is that it will take far less than you ever have been asked to give for anything. It would take far less than getting your body into a position that you could win a tennis match. It would take far less than getting your body into a position that you could run unfettered for a period of time. It would take far less than what you have done many times. You just got to get pointed in the right direction at what it does take, you see. So we would not ask you to give up all of your cynicism all at once, because no one could do that. We would not ask you to give up all of your pessimism all at once, or your realism all at once. No one could do that. We're just asking you, when you have time and when you feel like it, to try to find thoughts that feel better than the thoughts that come most easily. And it is our promise to you that as you release the resistance, your well-being has to return. And it will return in much swifter fashion than it left. And it will return with much greater stamina than you have ever known, because your desire is at a new level of asking that you were not at before. So people ask us the question, what should I do? And we say, just find something to feel good about. And they say, no, really, what should I do? And we say, just find something to appreciate and just beat the drum of that. And they say, no, really, Abraham, what should I do? And we say, really, that is it. And they say, well, that sounds too simple. And we say, well, then just try it for a little while. In other words, if it sounds simple, you're in a very good place. If it sounds complicated, then you'll have to work on it a little bit. But it really is as simple as just finding something to feel good about and insisting that you do. Now, what that sometimes requires is a change of pace, maybe spending more time with people that you haven't spent time with and less time with some people that you have spent time with. It requires reading different things and thinking different thoughts, taking walks in new places. It requires a new regimen, just like any improvement requires a new regimen. It requires wanting so much to feel good that you're going to train yourself into this place of feeling good. But as we've been saying all day here today, you can't do it all at once. So what you're really wanting to do is just reach for a thought that feels a little better than the thought that you've been thinking consistently. So what you want to say is, well, you may have seen it in others, but I'm vibrationally different from most others because I am no longer offering my vibration mostly in response to what I'm observing. I am now offering my vibration by what I'm deliberately choosing, and that makes me different from your statistics. That makes me one of those remarkable ones that recovers outside of your statistics. Now, we would not try very hard to explain that to them because they've been listening to you. In other words, they've been listening to you explain where you are. That's why we teased you a little bit when you said, I would like to give you a little background, and we said, where have you been? Because when you talk about where you have been or even about where you are, you project it for now into your immediate future. And so you have to stop talking about where you've been, and you have to stop talking about where you are if you want to go to some different place. That would be like Jerry and Esther getting in the monster bus, turning on the Magellan and the satellites in the sky and the antenna and the computer, pinpointing where they are, and then them programming the exact location of where they are into Magellan. And Magellan would say, you have arrived. So that's sort of what happens as you're moving along. Your guidance system is saying, you have arrived, and you're saying, but I don't want to stay here. You have arrived, and you say, well, I want to go over there. And then your guidance system says, oh, why didn't you say so? In that case, follow these thoughts, follow this bliss, make the best of this, make the best of this. What's confusing is that you think that what we're saying is you've got to go from your cynical outlook or from your disappointment to bliss or joy. And we think after listening to us here today, you realize we're not asking you to make that jump. We're just asking you to make any jump. So we are not the least bit worried about you. And we encourage you to not be the least bit worried either. And see this as this fresh new breath of air. In other words, you've got a new lease on life, and just expect it to become whatever you want it to. In other words, it is a sort of rebirthing, literally. Good.
Thank you. I'm incomplete.
As are we.